Okay, here goes nothing. It's Christmas 2019 and it's 2:19 p.m. That's amazing. So that's how we're going to start this. I'm going to say a lot. This is my first time doing an astrology video, so give me a break. Break a leg. There's so much information. I've been wanting to do this as a public presentation, and I created a PowerPoint. Just haven't been able to, with the holidays, of course, been able to organize and pull off a public presentation yet, but hoping to do that in the new year, sometime in January. So I wanted to do a video and get all this information out because it's happening now. It's been happening for a while. There is so much happening here at the end of 2019, going into 2020. 2020. Um, I I'm optimistic, and with all the challenges that I've been through in the last 5 years plus now, um, my resilience restrains me from being too optimistic. My lack of resilience restrains me from being too optimistic about what's coming down the pipe. Do they say pipe or pike? I never knew which one. But anyways, let's get to it. If you want to follow me on Facebook, check out Astrocosmology Facebook page, and I do lots of astrology postings as well. So back in November 13th, there was a Sun in Scorpio sextile Pluto in Capricorn. So Pluto's been in Capricorn for a while, and I'll talk about that towards the end. Start with the personal planets. But on November 13th, that sextile went exact, and it was, ironically, the start of the presidential impeachment process. This transit, this angle is known as routing out corruption. It's amazing how and when astrology reflects real world living. I don't know how many of you have been watching the impeachment process, but it's been pretty incredible, and it speaks to the challenges and opportunities, aka crises, of 2020. So, Sun sextile Pluto transit increases your need to succeed, and you will feel more determined and purposeful than usual to achieve your goals. Awesome. Any obsessive or compulsive tendencies you have, you can actually be harnessed to get a difficult task done. Um, and just a little side note, much of what I'm going to be saying and reading, because there's no way I can remember all this information, is stuff I've gathered from online. I didn't bother putting all this into my own words. It would just take way too long. Like, I already spent so many hours on this presentation, but so one other comment is this especially applies to anything which has broken down or is no longer of use in your life, from a messy room to a bad habit. So then on November 22nd, the sun went into Sagittarius, and that lasted until the winter solstice on the 21st. And when the sun was in Sagittarius, it was a time to unleash your optimism, employ humor as your superpower, which I love because I'm wanting to do comedy, which is totally new for me. I was never the funny kid, like, at all. And now I have this huge urge to do comedy. It's gonna be hilarious. um, Another comment about Sagittarius season, as it's called, is sharpen your media literacy, as if there wasn't enough to watch on the news. Mobilize and globalize. Definitely need to keep doing that. I've been doing it for 10 years, but had a couple little hiccups. And teach, don't preach. So then on the winter solstice on the 21st, Sun went into Capricorn, and it'll be there until January 20th of next year. It's when we look for new hope in a time of darkness. Again, I didn't mean for this presentation to be funny or joking, but some of these lines I think are just hilarious. This transit also urges us to come up with new goals and take the first steps towards achieving them. Capricorn is all about diligent work and diligent efforts towards a goal. It's no coincidence that the New Year's happens under the Capricorn sun because, again, it's all about setting goals and then devising a plan to achieve them. So all the astrology is, sorry for moving my computer, all the astrology is talking about this stellium in Capricorn. And a stellium is like a collection of planets. I believe it's over 3, but whatever. It's a bunch of planets happening in the same sign together. And this stellium includes Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Ceres, which is an asteroid, and the south node of the moon. They're all in Capricorn, which is the significance of 2020, as I'll continue to explain. There's also an interesting dynamic between a lot of these planets in Capricorn trining, that's a 120-degree relationship, with Uranus and Taurus, which is currently in retrograde. And that Uranus and Taurus is a huge transit. Uranus will spend usually about 7 years in each sign, and it's the awakener, it's transformation, and it's change, electric change. It also rules the internet. And so, yeah, that's trying. All the Capricorn planets are trining Uranus in Taurus, which is a supportive relationship. That transformation of a relationship to the Earth is supporting all these planets in Capricorn. And another way of saying that is this is a time of social upheaval and societal transformation. What happened in history at the last time there was a Capricorn stellium at an eclipse with Saturn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn? It happened 750 years ago in 1284, and it was the time of the Crusades. Reflect on that for a minute. January 2020 will be an incredibly potent period in which to plant the seeds of what you want to develop far beyond the new year. Make your goals for the next 5 years. Resolutions. New Year's resolutions for 5 years, not just one. And with the trine to Uranus in Taurus, this is a time of change, quick, fast awakenings and revelations. Liberation from the old, dying political structures. This is going to be a transformational time for politics. Welcome to election 2020, as if you didn't realize. One second. Whenever I do speeches or presentations, I get like dry mouth and I have to drink water the whole time. It's really fun when you have like an audience, a couple hundred people, and you have to like stop, drink some water. Hi. I never get it. I never get enough chances to be authentic and vulnerable. That's a joke. So the Capricorn stellium, the sun will be in Capricorn December 22nd to January 21st. Mercury is in Capricorn from the 28th of December until January 16th. Jupiter is in Capricorn was from December 2nd to the 19th, so not very long. And Saturn will be the 29th of December till March 21st. And Pluto came into Capricorn January 26th of 2008. And that's a big one, and I'll talk about that at the end. And it'll stay there until March 23rd of 2023. And then the South Node came into Capricorn November 6th, 2018, and will be there until May 5th, 2020. And then Ceres, the asteroid, came in November 15th, 2019, and will leave January 31st, 2020. So once you have clarified your ultimate ambitions, you can begin prioritizing your short-term goals will be most important to implement and how to best sequence them during 2020. Again, Capricorn, it's all about making a plan towards your goal. The unprecedented pileup of energies in Capricorn are asking us to transform our beliefs and language around what we mean by hierarchies, control, dominion, one group, and nurture, the polarity of Cancer where the North Node is and our future is. And then Ceres represents ecological grief. Ceres represents ecological grief. Our perspective is being changed to move more into alignment with the cycles of life and death. Ceres is a dwarf planet that signifies grief, forgiveness, and the natural cycles of the earth. So all those are in Capricorn. And then the lunar nodes, that's North Node, South Node, they are in, the North Node is in Cancer and the South Node is in Capricorn, as I just mentioned. They came into the Cancer Capricorn polarity November 6, 2018, and they'll stay there until May 5th, 2020. And it takes them about 18 years to do the full cycle of the zodiac. So they were in this placement of Cancer Capricorn 18 years ago. The dates the last time they were in Cancer and Capricorn was April 10th of 2000 until October 31st of 2001. And then before that it was 1981 to 1983. Before that 62 to 64. So the last time the North Node was in Cancer and the South Node in Capricorn was from April 10th, 2000 to October 13th, 2001. During that period, the dot-com bubble burst, crushing many IPO dreams, and the tragic attacks of September 11th shifted global alliances. Interesting. The U.S. presidential election between George W. Bush and Al Gore was also during that time, which is scary to think about because I remember that election well, and it was horrific that we somehow decided to give George W. Bush the presidency and throw ourselves into a 20-year war over oil in the Middle East rather than saving the planet. Anyways, that's just my dialogue. In 2019, this nodal pairing begins with the entrance of the 116th Congress, female-centric entry of the Squad, and the government shutdown over the dispute about the U.S.-Mexico border wall. The moon's nodes are where the moon's orbit crosses the elliptical, the apparent path of the sun makes around the Earth. The lunar nodes also create the eclipses. Interesting, because we are just now in eclipse season, December, January. We have 2 eclipse seasons every year. Eclipses are regulating our collective karma, also regulate our individual karma, especially when they align with sensitive or significant points in our charts. So that's the case with all astrology is there'll be a significant planet or transit, happening in the world, but it's how do those planets based on their sign and degree interact with planets in your own chart that affect you in certain ways. So, although both nodes are connected to karma, it is only the south node that is connected to past life and past karma. The north node instead is connected to our future karma. And the north node is our possibility to change the script of our destiny. The most primal needs of people are the needs of security, which is Cancer, and status, which is Capricorn. When you really know who you are, when you're strong on the inside, North Node in Cancer, there is nothing you can't achieve, South Node in Capricorn. So we have a solar eclipse happening tomorrow, December 26th, 4 degrees of Capricorn. And a solar eclipse is a new moon. As many of you know, that we have a new moon coming up tomorrow. This solar eclipse is very fortuitous because the sun and moon align with Jupiter, the planet of growth, abundance, and good luck. There's also that trine, which is a very supportive aspect, to Uranus, which adds positive change and excitement. The December 26th solar eclipse at 4 degrees Capricorn is conjunct Jupiter. So, like I said, it's going to be a very positive growth, expansion, prosperity, good fortune transit. And it's helped by the trine with Uranus. And it's made more exciting because Uranus is the planet of like erratic change and transformation. So, I hope you all enjoy your holiday season. It might be exciting. This is also significant because it's the end of a chapter of the last 10 years. The completion of past karma with the Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and South Node all together. And it's letting go of old stuff to get ready for the Saturn Pluto conjunction, which is happening in like 2 weeks on January 12th. We're already starting to feel it, it's already building, but it's going to be exact on the 12th. And this basically means significant permanent changes of social structures, political, governmental. Saturn is social structure, Pluto is transformation. And it's like deep, whole societal transformation, not just personal. So ask ourselves, how or why are we here to show up in the world now? And recognizing the power that we have been able to overcome the serious challenges of our recent past. I read that and I was like, oh, thank God. Because as I mentioned, I've been through so many challenges in the last 5 years. And just to hear that one statement gave me a lot of hope. And I am feeling it today. So there'll be another solar eclipse at 0 degrees of Cancer, which is very significant. I can't wait to look into this one more. That's happening on June 21st of 2020, so 6 months from now. And most of last year's eclipses happened on the Cancer Capricorn axis. And now 2 final eclipses happen on this axis that puts your family against your professional ambitions. Cancer is the home, Capricorn is the public sphere or career or job. So basically, those are being polarized. The home and family life versus like art professional ambitions. Here's a statement. It's likely your work life has taken over and your family has something to say about it. And with Mercury turning retrograde in Cancer just 2 days before this eclipse, this conversation may not go too smoothly. This is June 21st, remember. Your loved ones need assurance now. I'm not sure if I organized this presentation in the best way, but I basically did it by the personal planets, Sun, Moon, up to Pluto, not necessarily by the dates. So the dates are not sequenced in order. But I tell you, and one side note, if you want a copy of this presentation, just DM me and I will email it to you, and you can see all my notes. So there'll be a total solar eclipse as well, a third one, happening in 23 degrees of Sagittarius, and that's December 14th of next year, 2020. And excuse me, you can hear my voice, I'm pretty stuffed up. I've been sick all week, so I'm still doing this video even though I sound nasally. So Sagittarius prizes honesty and right versus wrong. So during this eclipse, you'll be faced with some truths about your life and your beliefs. A scenario will likely arise near this eclipse that challenges your blind beliefs and forces you to see a different perspective on your situation. That's next December. It's hard to admit you may have been wrong, but this eclipse is your chance to open your mind to a new view that is more beneficial to your life. Can you handle the truth? Yeah, so actually doing this presentation on video, now I notice how it feels. So that was next December. Jumping back to this December, there's a significant transit between the Sun and Jupiter coming together, a conjunction. And that's exact on December 27th, so 2 days from now. But we'll already feel it like today. Sun conjunct Jupiter transit gives a general feeling of well-being, happiness, and optimism. I don't know about you, but I woke up like clear and inspired today like I have not in years. It was really freaking awesome. Good luck at this time can be seen as an opportunity for growth, personal, professional, and spiritual. Doing this video. You should feel this as an urge or a strong desire to do all you can, experience everything to the fullest. Yeah. Doing these videos and just the other ideas that came to me this morning are terrifying, and here I am like in front of the camera and you get to see all my quirks. So just do it anyways. A little bit more, just as you may be the beneficiary of compliments, gifts, or money, you will also be more generous and bubbly. Yay, holidays! The keyword expansion applies to all areas of life, from relationships to wealth. Awesome. This is an excellent time to begin new studies or long distance travels. Jupiter. New relationships, investments, or the beginning of any new projects are favored. Again, thank you. Generally, things started now will turn out positively in the long run. So, a little secret, I want to do a TED Talk. And then January 10th, we have a lunar eclipse, 20 degrees of Cancer. Focus of a lunar eclipse is communication because the Sun will be conjunct Mercury. At the same time, it'll be cold, ruthless, and oppressive because of the authoritarian, dictatorial influence of Saturn and Pluto. Yeah, it. The thing with astrology is there's always a reconciliation or an integration of positive aspects and challenging aspects at the same time. Not always, but there's, it happens where there's these planets that are totally supportive, and then there's these transits that are happening that are like, oh my god, this is the most challenging thing ever. A side note. So, this lunar eclipse is emotionally very challenging because the moon is so afflicted. That just means that the moon is dealing with Saturn and Pluto. Um, and if you are a sensitive, timid person, you'll need to project yourself. You'll need to protect yourself against bullies. If you are strong, you need to protect your more vulnerable family members and friends. And unfortunately, this eclipse, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately or unfortunately, this eclipse favors the powerful and the wealthy. Trump. Yeah, that story is just crazy. Anyways, if you follow me on Facebook, you know I watch it. And then on June 5th, 2020, there'll be another lunar eclipse, 15 degrees of Sagittarius. This lunar eclipse will oppose Venus retrograde, and so the truth must finally be revealed. Interesting. If you have been keeping a certain love or money matter from your past to yourself, or you've been lying to yourself about this past experience, this lunar eclipse signals a time to come clean. No more procrastinating, it's time to clear the air. It will be easier to communicate the truth under this energy. Interesting. Revelations. And then, right the next month, there's another lunar eclipse on July 5th. This is 13 degrees of Capricorn. Um, and this will be the last eclipse that will happen on the Cancer Capricorn axis until 2027. So now at the end of a series of eclipses revealing the push-pull between your family versus your career, this culminating eclipse urges you to reflect on the long-held goals you have for yourself and consider if they really mean anything to you anymore, and or do they work with your family life. Between this lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse in Cancer just a few weeks before, like I said, in June, it's likely you'll find your priorities have shifted and there are other goals or aspects of life that are more meaningful to you now. Interesting. So like goals will be shifting quite a bit, and the balance between family life and public life or career will be going through some reflection and some changes June and July of next year. See, it's funny how like the personal planets have stuff going on at the same time as we're dealing with the Saturn Pluto conjunction, which is just gnarly. Um, and there is uh, another lunar eclipse happening at 8 degrees of Gemini, so it's switching signs, and that'll be November 30th of next year. It's a time to let go of old ways of thinking or communicating that are hindering your progress. Forgive me for talking so fast, there's just so much information here. Instead of running around in circles and getting the same results, this eclipse pushes you to break out of your well-worn cycle by realizing a new perspective on your situation. Information that's been missing could arise that now will help you to see the truth and think differently. Gemini. Thinking and communicating. So, like I said, the lunar nodes were in Cancer and Capricorn. And then on May 5th of next year, the 2020, they shift into Gemini and Sagittarius. That's why, um, yeah, that's why that lunar eclipse was in Gemini. But don't ask me the astronomy of astrology because I don't know all of it. It's just too much more information. Back to the presentation. The lunar nodes will shift to Gemini Sagittarius on May 5th, 2020, and they'll be there until January 18th, 2022. So about a year and a half. And the North Node in Gemini points toward new choices and growth, ambitious desires, and absorption of new material. In contrast, the South Node in Sagittarius unveils old, familiar issues in need of digesting, decomposing, harvesting, and release. We can expect to find ourselves on a digressive path in which we will need to embrace changes of direction as well as exert focus to avoid excessive distraction. Changes of direction, that's Sagittarius, and distraction is Gemini. However, since Mercury is ruling the North Node, it means it will be important to be pulled away from preconceived plans and remain open to being led in a new direction in order to receive new information. We will need to value curiosity and be willing to question dogmatic viewpoints, as well as being willing to listen to and integrate new perspectives. So, Mercury in Sagittarius is this month. It started December 10th. So, I went from the moon, now I'm switching to Sagittarius, and I'll keep going down the planets. So Mercury went in Sagittarius December 10th, and it'll be there until the 28th, 3 days from now. When Mercury is in Sagittarius, our thinking shifts from a need to plumb the depths of any given situation, that was Scorpio before, to the desire to learn about a wide range of topics, Sagittarius. It gives us a just, honest, generous, and sincere mind suitable for expansion through higher education. Ideals are sought, our thinking is more optimistic, and our faith increases. Excuse me. Nothing like doing a presentation when you're recovering from being sick. Okay, so Mercury enters Capricorn December 28th, and it'll be there until January 16th of 2020. Where our thinking is more methodical and our focus is sober and practical. That's Capricorn, practical and sober. Or sober and practical, whichever one you choose first. It is easier to concentrate on the task at hand under this influence. Our conversations may be quite realistic or focused on business and practical matters. Possessing sound reasoning ability, although you can be narrow minded and lack humor on occasion. Mental power is channeled into education and learning that will ensure financial security and social status. Our thought patterns and communication styles become more logical, orderly, and organized. We are more able to sort out what is relevant and essential, and realism enters the picture. Oh boy. The Mercury retrograde phases. So it was in retrograde. It will be in retrograde from February 18th to March 9th of 2020. And it'll start out in Pisces, move back to Aquarius, and then move direct again. And then on June 17th to July 12th, 2020, it'll be in Cancer retrograde. October 13th through November 3rd of 2020, it'll start off in Scorpio, go backwards into Libra, and then turn direct again. And then January 3rd to February 20th of 2021, it'll be in Aquarius. May 29th through June 22nd, 2021, it'll be in Gemini. And then September 27th through October 18th, it'll be in Libra. I know that's way far out. I'm just giving you the information. Like I said, you can send me an email and get this presentation, so there's way too much to remember. But Mercury will be inviting us to probe and question the emotional undercurrents and unconscious patterns that underlie our perception and communication. Since Venus will also station retrograde in Gemini on May 13th, a week after the North Node enters Gemini, a major lesson in 2020 will involve finding new ways to communicate our emotional needs within relationships. Wow. Ponder that while everything's in chaos. Moving on to Venus, she'll be in Capricorn, or she went into Capricorn on November 27th, and she'll be there, or she was there until December 20th. She's already moved on to Aquarius. I did this presentation like a week ago. Anyways, Venus in Capricorn is a time of approaching our relationships in a more mature way, and when our romances become bound by rules. Love must be earned when Venus is in Capricorn. Efforts count as much as heart if you want to receive the approval of others. So it's like work for your love, basically. There's incredible potential for reconnecting with our own inner authority and owning up to whatever it is we need to do to take care of our career, or take our career to the next level. And not only do we have an enhanced ability for building and creating things, but Capricorn also gives Venus the dedication needed to start projects and see them all the way through to the finish line. Venus in Capricorn has a strong business aspect to it, and it could bring up themes of reevaluating the worth we bring to our chosen professions. We might ask ourselves if we're getting the validation we need from our employer, or whether or not we are climbing up the ladder of success the way we had hoped. Yeah, I've been feeling that one. So moving on to Mars, he will be in Scorpio he started in November 19th, and then he'll be there till January 3rd of 2020. And this is a time of psychological self-examination, giving us insight that sets the stage for a major transformation. Scorpio, welcome to my world. Our drive to change something in our lives through sheer willpower will be through the roof during this period of time. Yeah, I'm feeling the energy. Mars in Scorpio is never afraid to explore the darker, more vulnerable side of life. In fact, this is where Mars in Scorpio thrives. Scorpio is all about thriving in the vulnerability. So from November 21st until the 29th, Mars was opposite Uranus, which is an interesting. Mars is in Scorpio, Uranus in Taurus. What this kind of brought up was the issues around climate change and changing of the earth. We needed to let go of what is holding us back, not serving us anymore. It's time to liberate us from the past and empower our future. There's a real drive to team up at the same time that we still want our freedom and independence. And we all need to come together and find cooperative solutions that are going to pave the way for a healthy planet in the new paradigm. That was my quote. Ha! Mars transit dates. So he'll be in Scorpio from November 19th until January 3rd of 20. Then he moves into Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and then he'll be in Aries from June 28th of 2020 until January 6th of 2021. And during that time, he'll go retrograde. Mars retrograde is pretty significant, and he'll be retrograde from September 9th of 2020 until November 14th in 2020. Once every 2 years, Mars, the planet that rules our motivation and ambition, turns retrograde for about 2.5 months. Like I said, on September 9th, 2020, Mars will turn retrograde in Aries and will remain backpedaling until November 14th of 2020. Astrologers advise against starting vital projects during these Mars retrograde phases because the drive is missing or lessened somehow. Often we feel a sense of frustration because we want to press forward in a certain area of our lives, but we feel as if our efforts to progress are futile. The universe demands that we fortify what's happening in that area already rather than break new ground based on where Aries falls in your chart. Between He'll be in retrograde between 28 degrees and 15 degrees of Aries. So it's significant if you have any planets between those degrees of Aries or other aspect relationships. The significant degree relationships of 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120, 180, and 150. Sorry. If you're ruled by Mars, either by having Sun or Ascendant in Aries or Scorpio, my Sun is in Scorpio, my Ascendant is in Aries, you'll be forced into a cosmic time out, and the universe doesn't ask, but rather orders you to take a chill pill. That's funny.